Уважаемый Владимир Владимирович,
Dear Mr. President Putin, the members of the Supreme Council, participants of today's session, I'm happy to welcome you all in the capital city of Belarus on the eve of the 25th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty on the Union State. Today we can state with confidence that back in 1999, we did the right thing, and as the two parts of the Union State, we could realize our partnership based on mutual trust. And our current bilateral relationships demonstrate a powerful mutual attraction based on a common language, and common academic traditions, cultural traditions, and our common history. Created a unique economy of two countries and two economies in a single economic space. This project has been tested by time and has proved itself amid unprecedented sanctions pressure. The financial system is stable, unemployment is at an all-time low, people's savings and income are growing. We have not just withstood, we have become stronger. Let me give you just a couple figures. Compared to 1999, the GDP of our two countries has grown significantly, 2.5 times in Belarus and Russia. The trade turnover, commodity turnover between the two countries is growing. Last year, it reached $55 billion. This year, at the same rate, we're going to see the $60 billion mark. But we need to ask ourselves, have we done everything to ensure that this progress is continuous and uninterrupted? To cope with more and more challenges, we need coordinated and responsible work of the two governments and all sectors of economy. For due to the peculiarities of the current situation, we have to face tasks we have never faced before. Members of our governments will dwell in more detail on prompt response to various situations. On my part, I would like to tell about several strategic directions we're going to work in. First of all, we need to get rid of the problems that we have been tackling for a long time already. As President Putin said yesterday, we don't need to be shy to be talking about matters that require further work. We need to pursue a unified economic policy in ensuring people's right in the Union State. We have yet to achieve the level of sovereignty and independence of our Union where we could plan our development for long term while being protected from outside situation and external challenges. Instruments for solving this task are clear: coordinated industrial policy, common approaches to food security, a single energy market, and striving for technological sovereignty and import substitution. We need to remove the remaining obstacles in mutual trade. We have already started working on joint projects in microelectronics, aircraft manufacturing, naval construction, ship construction. So far, we're currently working on 27 import substitution projects for a market estimated at $2 trillion by joint GDP. This figure should be hundreds of times bigger. Such projects are going to bring benefits both to Russia and Belarus. Thanks to our cooperation, new jobs appear in both countries and innovative products emerge. And today we're going to make another significant step in our union work. We're going to sign a treaty on forming a unified energy market to formulate an equal economic environment. We expect to launch natural gas and oil and petroleum products markets as soon as possible. Whatever goals we may be pursuing in building our union state, the main benefactor is our citizens, people who expect us to respond to their needs. So our priority is ensuring equal rights of citizens of Russia and Belarus. Over the last 25 centuries, a lot of issues have been resolved in healthcare, in human rights. There are no limitations to migration of people in two countries. In healthcare and labor security, pension and social insurance, all citizens have access to ambulance and medical help. In 2023 alone, in Belarus, medical assistance was provided to more than 60,000 citizens of Russia. Families with children get their support. And what's especially pleasing, on every holidays and festivities, Belarus is the most popular destination for people of such a vast country as Russia. A lot remains to be done yet. Every person should feel the benefits of our union. Number 2 is transport and logistics. Belarus export cargoes are going through Russian seaports, and that brings benefits to Belarus, helping it solve its export objectives. And it brings extra revenues for Russian businesses as well. The next project is the Northern Sea route. We've already tried transporting cargo along that route, and it works very well. Russian partners are working on a pilot project of high-speed railway from Moscow to St. Petersburg, and we expect it to continue all the way to Minsk. Mr. President, you're saying that this railroad is going to stretch all the way to Minsk and Brest. Really makes us happy. And military and political security, life itself, makes us pay special attention to the defense capabilities of our two states. And today, with the signing of the security concept of the Union State and the Interstate Treaty on Security, we will reach an unprecedented level of strategic partnership and coordination in the military sphere. This will allow to preserve territorial integrity of Belarus and Russia, to maintain sovereignty and independence, and form guarantees of peaceful life for our citizens. Our intention to sign this treaty, however, has agitated our so-called partners in the West. Number 4, planning and redistribution of labor resources. It is no secret that Russian labor market every year attracts a lot of people from Belarus, which leads to a shortage of human resources in Belarus. We need a coordinated policy in this regard and a fine-tuned legal framework and mechanism, taking into account the interests of both parties. There is a special sacred aspect to our partner negotiations. In May, Belarus, together with other nations who share our values, will celebrate the 80th anniversary in the Great Patriotic War. This is an essential date, a holy, sacred date for all our people. just like our ancestors. On the 9th of May, we will celebrate the victims of that terrible war, and we'll celebrate the anniversary of the victory of the Soviet people over fascism. Today we have a rich and eventful agenda, full of specific topics that will help us improve the function of our economies and enhance the security of our two states. Let me wish you all great work. Thank you for listening, and it's over to Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation. Thank you very much, President Lukashenko. Dear colleagues, as President Lukashenko said here, today's session of the Supreme State Council is a special one. We celebrate the 25th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty on the Creation of the Union State, which took place on the 9th of December 1999. We have to thank for that the first President of the Russian Federation, Boris Yeltsin, and Alexander Lukashenko. Indeed, this is a fundamental document under which Russia and Belarus over the last 25 years have gone a very long way in deepening their integration in the social and economic and humanitarian sphere, unification of legislation, and taken measures to ensure joint defense security. The strategic partnership and allied relationships between Russia and Belarus are built on the fundamental principles of friendship, mutual respect, and taking into account the interests of each other. Our nations are joined by common history, family ties formed among many people in Russia and Belarus, and adherence to similar moral values. Trade and investment exchange is actively developing within the Union State, and so are business contacts and cooperation ties. And conditions are created for a stable and consistent development of our countries. So this integration brings tangible benefits to the people of our two countries, contributing to their living standards and well-being, confirming the correctness of our course toward a single, unified economic, humanitarian and defense space of Russia and the Republic of Belarus. Let me note the fine-tuned mechanisms of the Union States. We regularly hold sessions on the ministerial level. The Permanent Committee of the Union State helps both states pursue an agreed macroeconomic policy and establish inter-industry cooperation, coordinating matters related to financial markets and banking systems. And special attention is paid to minimizing damage from unlawful Western sanctions and other restrictions. And Supranational Taxation Committee and Intergovernmental Customs Committee are working very hard. We had discussed these issues for a long time, fine-tuning our positions. And in general, on our part and on the part of our friends in Belarus, we have found all the solutions. And I'm sure colleagues from both countries are satisfied with how these mechanisms work. And in today's situation, these mechanisms play a very important role creating conditions for consistent growth of our economies. And solutions of the Supreme State Council are being implemented. We're talking about large-scale joint projects and events in key spheres such as industry, agriculture, energy, transport, culture, and information policy. And science and education are in the focus of our attention as well. Currently, about 20% of all activities have been fulfilled, and the efficiency of Russian-Belarusian integration is confirmed by growing trade turnover figures. President Lukashenko has already mentioned the forecasted figures. From January to September 2024, it has grown by 4.8% to exceed $37 billion. So Russia accounts for over one half of Belarus' international trade balance. And for Russia, Belarus is the fourth biggest trade partner in the world, with a share of more than 9%. And Russia has invested more than $4 billion in Belarus economy. And over 2,000 businesses with Russian participation work in Belarus. United markets for oil and gas are being created in Belarus. And today we're going to sign a treaty on forming a single energy market that President Lukashenko mentioned here. This will allow lower prices for end users and consumers in Russia and Belarus, which is going to be crucial for businesses and utilities. And Belarus, the Belarus nuclear power plant built by Rosatom, works as planned, and more than 14 billion kilowatt hours has been produced this year, which is 20% more, already 20% more than in the entire 2023. And our industrial cooperation, with an emphasis on import substitution, is working. And this is very important in today's situation and in the future. As some of my colleagues from the Russian government tell me, we really wish they didn't lift any of the sanctions. Of course, there are certain problems related to those restrictions and sanctions, but liberation of the Russian market for some of our manufacturers, as was the case with agriculture, is actually a benefit, more of a benefit than a problem. We're partners in science-intensive spheres, microelectronics and automation. Today we're going to decide on comfortable tariffs on communications and data transfer on the territory of the Union State. The new rules will come into force on the 1st of March 2025. The Union State is developing the humanitarian aspect of its cooperation as well, supporting educational, cultural, athletic and youth exchanges. Citizens of the Union State can take advantage of medical programs using proton therapy in Dimitrovgrad. There are contests for engineers and scientific workers, and Union State awards in science and technology, literature and arts have become very prestigious. There is an award to be given to young scientists for achievements in natural, humanitarian and academic disciplines. And I suggest establishing an award for patriotic upbringing of younger generation. Amid unprecedented external pressure, Russia and Belarus are cooperating closely on the international arena, rendering support to each other, and our approaches to regional and international problems are very close or coincide. At the October BRICS summit in Kazan, it was decided to establish a new category of partner states to the bloc, and we're happy that our Belarusian friends promptly confirmed their readiness to join BRICS in this format. President Lukashenko talked about our military cooperation and technical cooperation, And this aligns with the core interests of our two nations. Within the Union State, we have a single air defense system. We have a joint military contingent, regional military contingent, and our military doctrine has been updated recently, and the Supreme State Council is now going to coordinate the concept of security, taking into account the current situation. Of special concern to us is the situation in the European region, including Ukraine. The countries of the West are aggravating the tension. They have brought the situation to its current status, and their irresponsible policies pushing the world to the brink of a global conflict. We know the position of the President of Belarus, aimed at peaceful regulation of this crisis. We constantly pay attention to this matter, and we're going to talk about this as well. Pay attention to that during our today's conversations. And today we're going to sign an interstate treaty on guaranteeing security within the Union State that will stipulate our joint obligation to preserve the constitution of Russia and Belarus and protecting the territorial integrity of our two countries using all available means and resources, including Russia's tactical nuclear weapons deployed upon the initiative of the President of Belarus on the territory of Belarus. Let me remind everyone that its possible use for defense when dealing with aggression with conventional weapons, but creating a critical threat for sovereignty or territorial integrity of our two countries, is stipulated in the decree on the fundamentals of Russia's policy on nuclear deterrence. I'm sure that this treaty will allow to reliably protect the security of Russia and Belarus and will create conditions for peaceful and continuous development of our two countries. Next year, we're celebrating the 80th anniversary of victory in the Great Patriotic War. It's important that both Russia and Belarus remembers and honors our ancestors who fought the Nazism together, and we will do everything to make sure that future generations remember the price that had to be paid for the victory over Nazism. So we are inviting the Belarus delegation and Mr. President Lukashenko to take part in the victory parade on the Red Square. And I hope to meet with President Lukashenko on the 25th, 22nd of December at the informal CIS Heads of States meeting and at the session of the Economic Council of EURASEC. And today's session of the Supreme State Council, I hope, is going to be very productive and serve and enhance the security and the potential of the Union State. I would like to thank everyone involved in the work, in the preparations of today's session, for their work. Thank you very much.